I'm trying this thing, YouTube. I'm trying to get it right, YouTube. I'm trying to get it right. I'm trying to see, can you hear me out here? Can you hear me? Trying to see, can you hear me? Because I haven't been having I haven't had much luck on going live. You know, yesterday I was camping, and when I was camping, I wasn't in a good site to be able to go live. So I having bad connections. So now I'm back at home trying to see if you could be able to hear me. You can hear me. Good, 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 good. What's up to YouTube? How you doing? This is Brother Orlando coming to you. Brother Orlando keeping it simple. This is my first time going live, so I hope that all things goes well this afternoon. The music. No, alter your What you mean? The screen. What do you mean by alter it? Oh, okay. Okay. Set the thing. Okay. Yeah, my wife don't want y'all to see all the pictures. But yeah, YouTube, I'm finally getting to go live. Now I'm trying to get it right. So that I could be able to do what the Most High called me to do, because I don't want to continue not doing what the Most High called me to do. But let me introduce myself to you. I'm Brother Orlando. I'm out of the ATL. I'm out of Atlanta, and the Most High called me on this path about 5 years ago. And I'm not just a teacher of the Word. I also teach on survival stuff too. I talk about a lot of prepping. I talk about a lot of food storage. I talk a lot about purifying waters, weapons. I talk a lot about a lot of different things. I'm just not coming to you from a biblical standpoint, but I come to you from every aspect, all the aspects that the Most want me to come to you from. Let me give you a little general highlight of why I'm doing it and why I'm here today, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start jumping into the lesson. I had a dream about 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and the Most High took me out to the woods, and He showed me how people was living in the woods. He showed me how they had makeshift kitchens. He showed me how they had tents all up around. He showed me how they had fire in the middle of the camp, and then he also showed me that people had weapons. And then after that, he took me out to the streets and told me to go prepare. And ever since then, I've been preparing from this very moment to now. So what I'm doing is not just a biblical teachings, it's also a physical as well. It's trying to show you how to do what you need to do to get prepared for the Most High, to come back and be able to endure to the end, as they say. We have to be able to endure to the end. But I just want to go ahead and start coming to you this afternoon on Exodus 20, and I want to talk a little bit about it because but I'm gonna start off with the prayer. I'm gonna start off with Abba's prayer, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started because I want to go ahead and make it do what it do. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Yes, good afternoon, YouTube. Good afternoon, YouTube. I practice the Sabbath, I practice the Shabbat, and it's just yesterday I couldn't come to you because, like I said, my internet connection was kind of bad, so I wasn't able to chime in. I wasn't able to come in live yesterday, but now I got things hooked up and now I'm ready to go. But I'll be coming out of Exodus this afternoon, and Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 7. And and it reads, and El spake all these things, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods or Els before me. And I want us to understand that. My key verse is going to be 3, 4, and 5. And thou shalt not make unto thee any grave or carved image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. And thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. And I want to go ahead and I want to deal with thou shalt not have no other Els or gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. And thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El. And I want us to understand this part right here. For I, Yahuwah thy El, thy God, am a jealous God, a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. And now I want to talk about it a little bit, because we first have to understand this situation here and what's actually taking place. What's actually taking place is a covenant that is going on with the Most High. The covenant that is going on with the children of Israel and the children of Israel, and Moses is giving this covenant down to the children of Israel for them to be able to stay whole to the covenant that he's made. Now, what is a covenant? A covenant is to do something or not to do something. A covenant is a promise, it's a pact. It is an agreement. So when we're looking at Exodus chapter 20, we have to understand that the Most High was creating a covenant. He was creating a pact. He was creating laws and laws for the children of Israel. And the title of my text today is "The Covenant Was Broken and Judgment is Due." Okay, so now I want to talk about something before I get into this text right here, because I think it's very prolific. I think it's very important for us to understand something. Let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6. And we're talking about covenants. And the reason why judgment is due is because the covenant was broken. Okay? When we go to Genesis 6 and 18, it reads, "But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wives, and thy sons' wives with thee." At this moment here, the Most High was creating a covenant. He was creating something that he said he would do for Noah and his 3 sons and their wives and his wife. Like I said, a covenant is something that the Most High said he would do. It's a pact and it's an agreement. It's a promise. But when the Most High was making this pact or this covenant, he was making it to the nations. He was making it to the nations. He was making it not just to Noah, he was making it to Japheth. He was not just making it to Japheth, he was making it to Ham. It was not just making it to Japheth and Ham, he was making it also to Shem. So when we're looking at the covenant that the Most High was making, when he made the covenant with Noah, he was making a covenant with all the nations upon the land. He was making upon all the nations that were upon the land. See, Japheth was stemmed. What nations would come out of Japheth is the European nations. Because the Most High said he will make a covenant with Noah's children, or Noah's offspring. Japheth is considered to be the sons of the Europeans. So when we understand that, he wasn't just making a covenant to Shem at this time. He was making a covenant with Ham, which is considered to be the modern day Africans. So, and also when he made that covenant with Shem, which is considered to be the Hebrews. So when you're looking at it, the first covenant that was made and created, it was created for all the nations upon the land. All the nations upon the land. So when we're talking about the reason why the judgment is here, and we got to understand that, because all nations was given a covenant. All nations was given something that they had to abide by. Okay, so now let us go to Genesis. Let us go to Genesis chapter 12. I'm trying to establish something for you. Genesis chapter 12, now it's going to start to funnel down. Now it's going to start to focus on the main people or main tribes or nation. Okay, now in Genesis chapter 12, 1 through 3, it says, and now Yahuwah said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred, and from thy father's houses unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. It says, I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee. In all these shall all families of the earth be blessed. Okay, so now when we're looking at the covenant that was created for Abraham, it just wasn't a covenant just to be a covenant. It was a covenant of blessings. It was a covenant of blessings that were going to be bestowed upon Abraham. Let's go to Genesis chapter 17 to be able to understand that Abraham's covenant was a blessing covenant. Abraham's covenant was a blessing covenant. Okay, Genesis chapter 7, Genesis 17, 1 and 2, and it reads, and when Abraham was 90 years old and 9, Yahuwah appeared unto Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty El. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee and will multiply thee exceedingly. Abraham's covenant was a blessing covenant. Abraham's covenant was a blessing covenant. So when we're looking at when we're starting to look at Noah's covenant was for all the nations upon the land. So now it's starting to funnel down. Now it's starting to be more specific. When the Most High gave Abraham his covenant, it was going to be a covenant of blessings. It was going to be a covenant of blessings. Okay, so now let us go to Moshe, Moses. Let's go to Exodus chapter 19. Because I'm gonna get back to Exodus. I'm gonna get back to Exodus chapter 20 in just a second, but I want you to be able to understand why all these things are starting to happen upon the land. Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 and 6. Exodus 19, 5 and 6. And it reads, and now, therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a nation of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So now, when we're looking at the covenant that he gave to Moshe, he gave Abraham the covenant of blessings. He gave Moshe the covenant of priests and peculiar treasures and things of that nature there. So when we're looking at Moshe's covenant is more of a covenant of being a priesthood of nations, many nations. That's what Moshe's covenant is about. So when we're looking at Noah's covenant is for all nations, not to be killed by a flood again. Understand that. Japheth and Ham and Shem would not be killed by a flood again. That was the only covenant that he made with Japheth and Ham. But when he went on to Shem, he made a covenant with Abraham. Then he made a covenant with Moshe. Okay, so now let us go to David's covenant that he made with David, because Moshe was a covenant of priests. Now let's go to Dawid. Let's go to 2 Chronicles. 2 Chronicles 7. 2 Chronicles 7 and 18. 2 Chronicles 7 and 18. Because this is the covenant that he is establishing with Dawid or David. It says, then will I establish the throne of my kingdom according as I have covenant with David thy father, saying, there shall not fall thee a man to be a ruler in Israel. So when we're looking at David's covenant, or when we're looking at the covenant that is made in 2 Chronicles, it wasn't necessarily just going to be a covenant. It was a specific covenant. It was a covenant of rulership. It was going to be a covenant of rulership that will follow. It will be a rulership that will follow from the lineage of David, Solomon. All the lineages of that will be a rulership covenant in line with the lineage of Shem. Japheth and Ham, they got their covenant at the very beginning, and their only covenant. Let us go to  Luke chapter 1. Verse 54 and 55. Verse 54 and 55 is going to come through the Messiah. Through the Messiah. for all nations. Again, it's going to come for all nations again. So what's actually happening is to be up under the covenant and follow the children of Israel. Okay, even though it says in Matthew 15 and 24, be not sent but to the lost house, to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, all the children, all the Hamites, all of the laws, statutes, and the commandments, they're going to have to join up under the children of Israel. They're going to have to follow the teachings of Israel. To Exodus chapter 20. Because I want us to be able to understand something. When the children of Israel came out of Egypt, they had a multitude of people that came with them. It wasn't just the children of Egypt and followed them into the wilderness and crossed over the Red Sea or the Jordan River. It was a many nations that was with them. So when Moshe was given this law and given these commandments, he wasn't just giving it to the children of Israel. He was given to everybody who had joined upon them or who was with them during the wilderness or who left out of Egypt with them. So now when we're reading Exodus 20 and 3, the multitude of people that was with the children of Israel. Even though he sprinkled the blood of the children of Israel, it was a multitude of people that came out of Egypt. So when Moshe he was not just talking to the children of Israel on that. Okay? So now let me get into it. Let me get into it. Let me get into it. Let me go to Psalms. Psalms 104. Psalms 104 and 30. Psalms 104 and 30. And it reads, it says, thou sendest forth thy spirit. They are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. They are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. The glory of the Lord shall endure forever, and Yahuwah shall rejoice in his works. He shall rejoice in his works. And we're talking about having no other gods for him. We're talking about having other gods before him. Even they're supposed to be worshiping. Okay, let us go to Exodus 15 and 11. And it reads, it says, who is like unto thee, O Yahuwah, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in the praise, doing wonders? Nations of people, not to have any more elves or gods before him, because he's doing great works upon the land. Even every nation around us knows that he's doing. They should know that the only God that you should worship or El you should worship is the Spirit, the Word. They should know this. They should understand it because they see his wonders, not just in the skies, but on the earth too, with the plagues that have hit the land. That's why he's saying, he said, but you shouldn't have no other gods before me because of what I do on the earth and what I have done on the earth. That's why you shouldn't. That's why you shouldn't have no other gods before me because of what I did. And see what you make the children of Israel. What made the children and the people in Egypt follow the children of Israel is because what the Most High did to the Egyptians made everybody a believer. What everybody saw, what the Most High did to the Egyptians when he brought those 10 plagues and he killed those firstborns, made everybody a believer. Made everybody a believer. And see, right now, we should be in that same moment in time. We should be in that same predicament. Everybody should be believing in the Most High right now because of what they see that's going on upon the land. If you don't believe in the Most High right now, something's wrong with you. I can't even comprehend your thought process is bringing judgment upon the land right now because of what we see that's going on, not just here in if you cannot see. So they attached themselves to the Egyptians, to the children of Israel. All those nations, they attached themselves to the children of Israel because they recognize that they're heirs. Okay? Let us go to Psalms. The reason why he said, thou shalt have no other heirs before me, is because of what he's doing, because of who he is. He is a spirit. He's a ruach. So when you understand that he is spirit and in truth, whom have I in heaven but thee? He said the only person, the only spirit that is in the heavens with me is me. Can nobody sit in my position? Can nobody do what I do? And the reason says, and there is none. How can we even imagine there is something superior than the Most High? And that the Most High is not moving right now, that the Most High is not doing things upon them, not want us to worship him in spirit and in truth. And the spirit is the word. How could you not want to do that? Because when you don't, if you decide to break the first brimstones and fire, how could Japhet and Ham not understand what's going on? How could they not see the writing on the wall? So let us go to verse 20 and 4. Because he showed us, he said, thou shalt have no other else. That is the record. That's the thought process that we should have. You should have no other else before you. You should be worshiping material possession. You shouldn't be worshiping these Christmas trees. You should be doing none of this stuff that they're doing now. Because the Most High is not in none of it. Verse 20 and 4. Let me read. It says, thou shalt image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. He said, nothing that you can do that can create an image that looks like me, that even represents me. So he says, so I'm now telling you, don't be wearing no crosses around your neck. That is a carved or graven image. He's telling us that don't do any of it because it does not represent me at all. You're going against my laws, statutes, and commandments. Let's go to Exodus 32 and 1. Exodus 32 and 1, and it reads, it says, And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods. What about Moses? And the prophet didn't just help you leave Egypt, get through the Red Sea. He said, we know that. But they said earlier, it says, that's the golden calf. That's a grave or carved image. That carved and engraved image was made by hands. I do not dwell in a place that was made by hand or a building. He said, I don't dwell in those places. But they wanted, as soon as they got to Egypt, they wanted to create a statue. But he told them, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. The earth beneath is an animal. Them crosses are animals. Them crosses are made by trees. And God, 10, 3 through 5. Let's go to Jeremiah 10, 3 through 5, and it says, For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it moves not. They are upright as the palm trees, but speak not. See, these Christmas trees that we're putting up, these people are putting up today, don't do nothing for nobody. And they worshiping that Christmas tree as if it is the Most High God. It says they must need to be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot. It does you no good. What the Most High is talking about, graven and carved image. That is the likeness. That is in the heavens. That is in these trees are made from the earth. The golden calf is made from these crosses. That's made out of gold. Let's go to Romans 1 and 23. Romans 23, and it reads, and change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like a corruptible man, statues, and to birds, and to 4-footed beasts, and creeping things. He said man has did so many different things. Uncorruptible, but it's corruptible. He done did so much. He said, you done did so much. And change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like a corruptible man. Everything that we try to make symbolize the most, and we wonder why judgment is due. We wonder why judgment is here. Because of what we have done. Because the things that we create with our hands don't do anything for us. The things that we create with our hands don't do anything for us but make us look good. But it does not do anything for the Ruach or the spirit that is in us. And as long as we understand that the things that we do with our hands don't do anything for the spirit, there's no need for the things, really, for what its purpose is. A shirt is for your clothing. Clothes is for to protect your body or your skin from the elements. a watch is to tell time because we have to operate off time. There is no need for jewelry unless you got a wedding band on your finger. And that's only to bring acknowledgement to people in society that you're married. Now let us go to Exodus. Let's go back to Exodus chapter 20, verse 5. He said in verse 3, he said, "Thou shalt not make unto," it says, thou shalt have gods before me. Why we should have no other gods before him? Because whatever God is God, don't do nothing for you. Then he tell you, he said, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any," make, to have, it shall have, or to make. Looking at verse 3 and 4, he said, "You shall not have any else before me." Then he said, "You shall not make unto thee any graven images." He said, "You better not even create something that try to resemble me, because whatever you try to create that resembles me won't even look nothing like me." So when we go to Genesis 20, "For I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous God," a jealous El. He said, once you have put somebody as to be your God and you created images, he said, you don't got me upset, because the word jealous, the word jealous, the word jealous, the word jealous means jealousy or anger. Okay? It means anger. It means angry. You don't make me to become a jealous or angry El. And when you have made him to become jealous, you have made him become angry, because you have created something and you have put something as your God. So when you're gonna make the person that created you upset. And so let me say this to you. If you are part of a kingdom and the king said, "You pledge your allegiance to me and me alone," and when you decide to go against the allegiance or the pledge that you made to the king, what you think that treason? That's death. That's punishment. When you go against the king or the president or whoever that's in charge and you pledge your allegiance to that, they call it treason. Treason. And I forgot what they call it in the military. They call it AWOL in the military. You leaving the military. They call it AWOL in the military. So you can get tried for that in the military, for leaving your duty, leaving your commitment. You can be killed, covenant, or your promise, or your pact. So when we're looking at this covenant that the Creator, the Most High, made from Noah, from Moshe, no, from Moses, no, from Noah to Abraham to Moshe to David and back to the Messiah, Yahshua the HaMashiach, you could get in trouble if you break that covenant. And that's what we're in right now. Society has broken the covenant. All nations are killing people. All nations are stealing. All nations are wrong. When we start to look at the Noah law, the Noah covenant, it's coming right back to today's up under the Messiah covenant. Everybody's going to be judged by the same thing. And don't think you're not, because you are. Talking about, he says, for I, Yahuwah am a jealous, the angry God. This, because now you got somebody angry coming to see you. Now you got the Most High angry because thou shalt have no other gods before me. You put another God before him. Then you made graven and carved images that's in the earth, that's in the heavens above, and the earth beneath, and the waters under the earth. I'm dealing with jealousy, which means angry. And when he comes, he's angry. He's come visiting you in what kind of way? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 20, verse 5. And the reason says, then I would set my face against that man and against his family and will cut him off to visit. He's coming to visit with anger to cut you off, to cut your neck off, to cut your prosperity off, to cut everything around you off. Because now, when you look at it, everybody has broken the covenant. All nations have broken the covenant. It just hasn't been the children of Israel. It's just been the children of Japheth. It just hasn't been the children of Ham. It's been all of them. Because Japheth and Ham is under the Noah covenant. So when you're looking at it now, when you look at today's society, everybody's going up under judgment. Everybody's to let us go to Job. Let us go to Job. Job 5 and 4. And the reason he says his children are far from safety. Listen to that. When you think, because you didn't, if you think that you wasn't up under the covenant, you're wrong. You think you are not up under the covenant, you're wrong. You still have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments regardless of. In Job 5 and 4, the reason it says, and his children are far, far from safety. They are crushed in the gates. Neither is there any to deliver them. That's what visiting means. That the Most High is going to come and get you, come and see you. And now what you see upon the land is judgment is due, because all nations have broken the covenant. Not just Shem, not just Ham, not just Japheth. All of them broke the covenant. That's what you see. That's what you see what's happening today. That's what you see going on. That's what you see happening up on the earth. He visiting us. He coming to see us, coming to talk to us. And he coming to talk to things all over the place. You see floodings all over the place. You see famines all over the place. He's not just coming to visit one nation, he's coming to visit all of them. I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes. And some of them ye shall kill and crucify. And some of them shall ye scourge in your synagogues and persecute them from city to city. That upon you might come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Bardachus, whom ye shall slay between the temples and the altars. Everybody gonna get slayed. Everybody's gonna get it. Most High's gonna come see all of us. And it ain't nothing that we can do about it. What we seeing on land today is judgment, not just for one country, not just for one group of people, it's for all people. And see, because I live in Atlanta, I looked at something that came on the news the other day. People was in line. They paid $100 just to be able to take whatever he needed to take. See, those are children of Israel. All nations of people are in line to take that little piece of money to be able to do what they need to do and take what they need to take. All nations of people probably in line. Not just here in Atlanta, that's all over the country, all over the world. But see, we don't see that. Everybody has broken the covenant. Psalm 79 and 8, and it reads, "Oh, remember not against us former iniquities. Let that tender mercy speedily prevent us, for we are brought very low." That's the judgment, to bring you very low. That's the visiting. He's visiting you anger. He's visiting you with anger. He's not going to come back with a loving attitude and say, "Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you. Oh, no." Because all of us done broke the covenant. This is what we see in society today. What he's doing. But they're going to get the judgment. But I want to read you something, and I'm going to close with this. I want to read you something coming out of the Gospel of Truth. It's called the Lost Scriptures. The Gospel of Truth, and I'm reading out of the Lost Scriptures, okay? I'm just going to read you a little excerpt. Okay? When the people went about searching for the one from whom they have come forth, the people was inside of him in an incomprehensible and ignorance of the Father brought about anguish and terror. Let me read that over. It says, ignorant of the Father brought about anguish and terror. The anguish grew solid like a fog, so that no one was able to see. Ignorance is so thick right now among the people. Can't nobody see what's going on because they're so far away from the Father. Keeping the covenant for this reason powerful. It worked on its own matter foolishly, not having known the truth. It sets about with a creation substitute for the truth. Ignorance is speech is true. Telling the truth is a new hate speech. It is set about with a creation preparing with power and beauty, the substitute for truth. What's the substitute for truth? Ignorance. So what in my first YouTube live video, and I thank you all for watching, whoever watch it. I thank you if you can give us hit the subscription bar and get a like so it can go out. But what am I saying today? The covenant was broken, so judgment is due. Judgment is not just due to Japhet. Judgment is not just due to Ham. Judgment is also due to Shem, because all of us have broken the covenant. Because Noah got the covenant for all three nations. Abraham got the covenant of blessings. Moses got to. They got the covenant all over again for the same thing. Nations keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. He said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandment. But I'm going to close out with a prayer, and then 11 o'clock Eastern time. I hope you enjoy it. If you don't like the message, I don't need to hear anything positive, negative energy, negative spirit. We praise you. Abba, we give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we just thank you for allowing us to be able to wake up this morning and be able to do what you have called us to do. Abba, we thank you for the eyes that we see, the ears that we can hear, the legs that we can walk, the arms that we can be able to work with. I thank you for all the knowledge you have given us. We thank you for just everything that you have done and what you continue to do. Abba, we see your judgment upon on the earth, not just in the United States, but also the four corners of the earth. Abba, we see your floods, we see the earthquakes, we see the hailstorms, we see the famines, and we see that you are in the midst of all of it. So Abba, we just ask that your will continue to be done, but Abba, we ask that you protect our children, protect our offspring, but also strengthen us in this walk of truth. But also let us continue to hear the way you want us to hear, see the way you want us to see, speak the way you want us to speak, so that we can be able to help others in their flesh. And we got to die daily of this flesh. We're going to make mistakes. But we ask that you just can help us along this journey. And in all these things, once or twice a week, I'll be talking about more than